Great. Well, let's begin. So today we have arrays and objects, and we will talk in details. You had some exercises for your prep work, but now we will actually talk about such things, and hopefully that will be clear for you how to use them and how to work with them. So basically, array is a collection of different things, and you can put anything you want to in your array. You can have strings, you can have objects, you can have another array inside your array, and you can have like any type of data, so you don't have any limits for that. Yeah, so array is like a list. It is ordered list, so we start counting from 0 with arrays, and you can access to the array item by index. So array can store any type, as I just mentioned, and you use square brackets for to create an array. So let's actually create some. Const my array, right? And so now we have an array. This is array. Inside our array, we can have, I don't know, a string hello. We can have false. We can have 5. We can have an object where we will have name and Alex. And let me just open the terminal and show you an example. So I want to console log my array for now. So
and just to be completely clear, we are right now back to JavaScript full. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So this now this week is about JavaScript. That's true.
Yeah.
Node index. So as you can see, we have our array here. So we just log in our array. Inside our array, as I said, we can have another array. And again, 3, let's say, bunch of numbers. And maybe we can have another array. And there we will have some strings. Then the number, whatever. So basically you can have multiple levels. So array is like a huge box where you can put anything you want. And if you put an array, you can put another things and separate it. Basically have a lot of data. As we mentioned, if you want to get an item, we want to use indexes to get actual things from the array. So the index starts from 0. So the first element has index 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically we have 4 elements, right? Because this is just one element. So if I do, let's say, square brackets 2, we should get our 5, right? And we have our 5. Because this is the index of 5. If we do, if you want to get this one, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. And we have an array, right? So basically this one returns us an array. And to get values from the array, we use square brackets. And if you want to take, for example, 36 from here, how can we access it? How can we get it?
By adding, instead of 4, having a 2.
I think you need a bracket of 4, and then a second bracket.
Yeah. And
what number you said?
36.
Ah, I thought you said 5.
Sorry?
So you need to put 2 in the second bracket.
Sorry, 2 in the second bracket. Save. Yoo-hoo! Yep, we got it. Exactly. And if you want to get, for example, our height from here, we just add in another one with, so this one is 4, right? Again, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 0. You get in 5. Right? So same thing as you mentioned for this one. It just you add in the third pair of brackets. So why it works like that? Because this one will return you an array, and you can apply for your array these square brackets. And this one, this one will return you an array as well, right? Because that will return you this, and that is why you can select first element from here. Yeah, so you basically just built in like a path to the element.
Yeah, so if you were just putting 4, 4, then you get the whole stack of high,
yeah,
comma. No, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is how you're accessing to the array items. So create an array. This is what we just did. Array has a property length. So you can use from JavaScript, you can use dot length to get actual length of the array. And for so we have this one, the length is 2, right? So it's actually 2 items in that array.
Mm-hmm.
So you want sometimes when you work with data, let's say you try to get the data from the server or whatever, and that should be an array, and you want to do something like if array.length more than 1 or more than 0, right? You want to do something because you're expecting for the data, right? Because it can be 0 if you fetch in from the server. That can be empty, and now you'll never get to our if. So console log, we have data, else console log, we don't. A second, / have data. So now we don't have data, right? Because it is empty.
And an array will only be
sorry,
one-dimensional.
Say again.
I was just asking if you could have, I guess, an array is an array. You cannot have like a matrix. You cannot have like 2 lines in an array, or like a matrix. You know, like.
Oh no! This is flat. This is a flat one. So you're building. It's not like a very complex structure. It's just a basically sequence of things of different types of data.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's basically kind of flat, kind of. Yeah, and if you start adding some elements, now we have some lengths, and now we have data. So that is why you normally use lengths to check do you have actual data inside the array or no, to do some action. Yeah, if we try, that's actually a good example. If we try console log to use some, for example, an existing thing, right? My array 8, you get in undefined, right? Let me just remove this. We have undefined because there is no such thing on index 8. So you're getting outside the array, and you have just the biggest index here, valid index, is 2.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that is why it will return you undefined. Yeah. So how you can add elements to the array? We have quite a few ways to do that. So we have push. Let me show you. So we have a push method, which do what? Do you remember?
It's gonna add an element at the end of the array.
That's correct. So if we log, we have 20 in the end. What? How to add on the very beginning? Do you remember the? How to add for basically prepend?
I can't remember.
We have shift. Sorry, unshift. 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 So, and we want to pass the value. Let's say kitten. Save. And we have it on the very beginning. Right? You can add that to the specific index. So you can have something like my array square brackets, I don't know, 20 equals some string. So if I set it, you can see that it shows that we have 15 empty items because we defined first 5, then we have a gap, and we have the basically the 21st, right? Because index is 20, so 21st. And you have 15 empty items. So when you try to reach like 18, you have undefined, because you basically have 15 undefined, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And by the way, I forgot to tell you. So now, if you do lengths, what lengths do we will have?
Aha. Good question. Does it take into account the 15 empty or not?
What do you think?
I'd say no, but I'm just guessing.
Okay. Any other thoughts? No. So
6 items.
yeah, the JavaScript is stupid. So if you're saying that something is on 20, that means that we have 21. So if you have something on 21, position 21, it doesn't know that, oh, it's actually empty. It's not. It's creating you 21 elements and 15 of them are undefined. Yeah. So yeah, length is not like just how you expect. So removing elements. We have shift to remove from the very beginning, and we have pop to remove from the end, right? So if you have
So push is the opposite of pop, and shift is the opposite of unshift.
yes, yeah, exactly. So if you have let me put it here.
I make a song to actually remember that.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so array dot shift. You don't need to pass any parameter. Save. It's showing Wait a second, what is, oh right, sorry, blanks. So if I run again, it will remove it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 20, 15 empty, and some strings. If we save it again, all right, it's static, yeah. So basically we're removing our kitten, right?
Yeah.
So let me put it here before we start deleting. So we had it, now we don't. So pop is to delete from the end. My array, pop. Again, no arguments. Save it. And you had some string, now you don't. But you still have your 15 undefined. Yep. Okay. So what can we do with our arrays? And you, again, with prep work, you did some. So you can get an index of the element. And you need to pass the value. So you have like my array index of, and you pass in the value. Let's say we have, I don't know, 20, right? Here, the value 20. So, well, let me just add some string here. Test, save. And we are looking for empty string. Yeah, right. Let's look for tests. We're getting 3. So the index is 3. So basically 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So you can get the value from there, the index of the element. If you provide something, let's say I want to look for a car, save it, it will return us -1. You need actually to remember that it returns -1, because quite often you can make a mistake that you look like some condition and you have your my car index of, because you want to check do you have it in the array, and you say if it's true, I mean if you return an index you want to do something, right? So you can say like yeah, basically you do this and you do something. But actually it returns -1, which is valid. So you will, if it doesn't exist in the array, you will run it, your code. So you don't want to do that. This is a bug. It's very easy to forget about that. Or if it returns 0, it is false. It will interpret as false. And again, this is another bug. So what you want to do when you do such checks is, does the index basically is the index more or equal to 0, right? So basically it is in the array, because the element car, so in our instance that will return our for us -1, so we will fail it. We will never get here. But if we, so let me show you console log. So car exist come on, first index. You have, for example, your index of the car. Else you want to have console log car do not exist, something like that. So if you save, car do not exist because the index is -1, because it returned -1. But if I add a car, save it, now it returns that it is exist, and you basically see here that we're getting inside and rendering the index. So this is again remember that you need to, when you using index of to check is element in the array, you want to check is index of more or equal than 0. Yeah, so we can have splice, slice, and let me show you. So how splice works. Let me just, yeah, we don't want to have this. Comment this, comment that. We want to have this one. So, save, we have our array, right? We have the whole array. If you do my array dot splice, and we say, for example, 1 and 2, that means that I want to remove 2 elements starting from index 1. So that means that index 1 is here, so we will remove these 2 elements. If I save, let me just actually copy this line and put it before so you can compare. Save. So we removed our index 1 and index 2 basically. This is splice, right? But with splice, you can add to the element. You can basically push that inside. So what you can do is, let me check there. So kitten, we don't have kitten, so we can do, wait a second, is it 1 0? Yeah. So basically you're setting that you want after on index 1 you want to insert, you want to remove 0, but you want to insert this one. So the second argument is for removing, right? So if I set 1, so that should remove our 2 and replace it with kitten. Let's try. As you can see, we just removed 2 and added kitten. So first number is where you start, where you should start. Second number is how many elements you want to remove from that position, starting from this position. And the third argument is what elements you want to add there. So if you don't give your third element, it will just remove 1 element in our case. If you set 2, it will remove 2 elements, right?
So if it's 0, the second, just to be clear, the second element, if it's 0, then it doesn't remove anything and it adds kitten.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we also have slice. So slice. Based on the name, you might get that will return you a piece of your array. So if I run this command, you can see that we have 2 identical things, right? So we didn't change the original array. So splice will change the original array, but slice is not. It's just returning you a piece of your array. So to have this data, you just create a new variable, I don't know, part of array, right? And now you save that into the variable, and if you console log it, you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so let me maybe just use this like that. Yep, my array is not modified, but you have the part of the array. So slice. Any questions?
None for me, thank you.
Okay. By the way, I want to show you, because I've created a year ago, I think, I've created a video, basically a few videos. Colors. So we have a playlist with JavaScript. And here we have like array methods. How to sort your data, how to generate Fibonacci, string, find inside. Yeah, so basically here we have a series of videos how to work with arrays and different methods that you can apply for your arrays. So you can watch these videos as well.
Cool.
Okay, if no question, let's move to objects. So objects, again, this is one more complex type of data, and they are also collections, but there you have key value pairs. So you have a key, like a label on something, and the value that you want to assign. With array, you have index, right? So you have an index and the value, because you have like an element, so it has a position like 2 or 3 or 0, and you have some value. But with objects, you actually creating a name. So you don't need to get the element from in array. To get the element, you've taken it by index, right? Like I showed you here. So to get the element, you just have, let me just remove this.
Is it like a dictionary or?
Kind of. So with array, to get an element, you do this, right? Index 1. So you're getting the second element from your array. But it's not always obvious on which position there is a data that you need, because you don't know exactly on which position you will have your data, right? Because if you get the data from the server, you have no clue where is your data. That is why objects are more useful, because you actually get it by name. So I'll show you in a second. So you actually have like a label for each element that you're storing. It can be, for example, you create an object user with, and actually let me show you the next example here. So you created an object with curlies, right? So you use curlies, and you creating these keys and values, right? So let me copy this cat. Sorry. I need to replace my quotes. Come on. So this is the object cat, right? And my cat has a name, has an age, breed, and favorite foods. And as value, you can have any type of data. It can be a string, it can be a number, it can be some a boolean. So you can do like so associative array is not a thing in JavaScript. You're talking in PHP, we have that, but not in JavaScript. Like, for example, like to play, and you have true, right? So it can be whatever you want again, but now you have names for each thing. and that can be an array as well, and that can be an object or array of objects or whatever. Again, no restrictions whatsoever. It can be a function. So here, I don't know, pet handler, and you can have a function here and do something. That's the right. So we have that cat, and if I want to get any value, I can get it directly without thinking which position is it. So console log. Let me just remove these console logs. So I have a cat, which is the whole object, right? This is the whole object. But if I want to get a name, I just do cat.name. And I have Jasper, right? I don't need to think, is it on position 1 or position 5? I'm just saying, give me the name, and it takes the name. Or I can say breed, right? And I'm getting directly the breed. Or I can have pet handler, and this is a function, so I can execute it, save it, and I have my mrr, right? So basically I don't need this console log because this has own console. Or maybe I can just return a string, return, right? So my function returns a string. So now if I call that function, I have my mrr, right? So this is just basically, people prefer to work with objects because it's very easy to get your data from there. I would say that two most common types are arrays and objects. So arrays, to when you want to loop through, you have a lot of users, right? And basically you have an array of objects, because, or you have array of cats, right? And you have inside your array, you have objects of different cats. So you can loop through it and render names or ages or whatever you want to do. So yeah, this is the object. Example. How you can get. This is what this just showed you. So you can get by just dot and the name, or dot and basically the key. This is a key, right? So if you want to get favorite foods, you just do dot favorite foods. Save, you have an array, right, of favorite foods. This is it. If you have, I don't know, let's say friends, and you have an array with objects, name, Tom. Then you have another array, another object with name, I don't know, right? Save. And if I try to get friends, I will get an array, right? And if I want to get the second friend, I will do, because this is an array, so I will use square brackets, right? Use 1 to get the second one. But now, to get the name, I will use, again, dot name. Save, I have Garfield. Right? So if you want to have an access to the value of specific key, you use dot. If it's an array, you use position, and then you use dot for the name. Okay. Also, yeah, I need to mention that to you. So besides that, besides like name, so we have a name, right? We have Jasper, but you also can use square brackets for your name. But when you use square brackets, you need to wrap it and pass a string inside, which is your key. This is actually important because this is how you pass dynamic keys. Right, so you have cat and you get in a name with square brackets because you know that this is a name, you want to have a name. But imagine that you have a function get cat info, like const, function.
So where is Jasper? Oh, it's gone now.
Name. This is a
Oh,
name.
it's here. Okay.
So get cat info, which will take key and return. We want to return that key. So if I have console log and I want to have get cat info, and I want to get a name, or let's say breed, right? So I want to get the breed of the cat. How to handle it here? Anyone? So we definitely need to have a cat. First part done. Dot. Can we use like this?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. So then you can, whenever you write the function, you just get cat info and then you type in what you want.
Not really.
Instead of the key.
This is a confusing point actually. So because you use dot, it will expect actually key here as a key. So it will not work. Basically you'll get undefined. If I save, you'll get undefined, right? Let me comment it out. You have undefined.
So you need to define what is key?
Not really. That is why we use this type of square brackets for these instances. Because you pass in a string, right? And if you want to select by string, you need to use square brackets. Now that will work. So now you'll pass in your string, and that will be your breed, and basically you'll have something like that, right? So here, this one is equal to breed in our case. Yeah? Which is
But
valid.
then will it return just the breed or will it return the full sentence?
No. So you have just the cat.
Oh, exactly.
Just a breed. Yeah, you get in just the value.
Got it.
So,
Or you,
how does it know it's return only breed?
because you
It's
said in
defined, no?
no, you given it return breed, and breed is here, right? So you're saying give me a cat dot breed basically, and it takes cat dot breed
Okay.
and return you the breed. Yeah, and you can do something like more complex, like key is, you have two variables. So now if I save, you have breed is exotic short hair, right? Or maybe I can provide age, and you have age is 2. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Pretty cool.
So this is very important for keys. You need to remember that you can if you want to have dynamic key, that because sometimes you'll loop in through something. Oh yeah. Hey Patrick. Yeah. So.
Hey, sorry.
No worries. Yeah. So basically, because sometimes you're looping through the array with objects, or you have a case like that. You want to be able to have dynamic key. You want to be able to pass any key and reuse it. That is why we have these square brackets for objects, which is very useful. Because normally, if you know what you're getting, you use dot. But if you know that something should be dynamic, you use square brackets and pass the value. Like this.
Got it.
Okay. So the next stop is how you can set a new properties. We don't talk about like other ways to create an object. So we're talking about that you literally just write in like const, I don't know, user equals something, right? And you have an object. This is it. Basically, this is all you need to have. You can create an empty object like this. But here we also have, I don't remember, is it object? Object assign. I think this is like that. Or maybe even like this. I don't remember because I've never used and you'll never use it, but let me just user, and you have your user. Save. Ooh, yeah, syntax error. Is it create? Maybe is it create? Save. Object prototype. Yeah, so basically you're creating a prototype of object. And then maybe you can. Ooh, no, I think that will create actual object for OOP. Yeah, definitely. No, ignore me. Don't use this. Yeah, so we have, you're basically creating objects with just curly braces. So how you can add something to the object? We'll imagine that we don't have our friends, right? And our cat, let me just comment it out, this code. Cat, just cat, right? So we don't have friends, but you can do cat dot friends. Okay, friends equals that one, right? So you assign in a new key for that object, and you assign in some value. So now if I console log, you can see that we didn't have it, but now we have it. So this is how you add in a new property, new key for your object. Basically dot friends, right? You also can do that dynamically. The same as we had for this one. You can have like, let's say, add key value.
Then you have the cat.key this time.
To cat, give a second, to cat. So function. And what you want to do is you want to two things, right? You want to have key and you want to have value. So you can dynamically add new properties to your cat. So let me remove everything from our cat. So if I console log, it's just empty object. Yeah, because we don't do anything. But I want to add a key name, and I want to add a value for the name Tom. So for now we have nothing, right? Oh, what? Wait, oh, right, sorry, this one. Like this, right? So it's undefined. We don't do anything in our function. That is why we probably don't need to do this. We don't need it to have a console. So let's save. Before and after, right? Before and after, empty, empty. So we want to add a new property and so a new key and a value pair to our cat. So how we can do that? So here's how you're adding new things, right? You need to have your object dot key and the value. So how you can do that here with our cat?
So we do cat.key equals value, or the opposite actually? Yeah.
Equals value, right? I mean, almost. But you
It's
can.
the opposite. Yeah.
No, so it's not opposite, it's like that. But remember how to set dynamic keys, how to use dynamic keys. Because again, we don't have, you will create a key property. I'll show you. We just created a key, Tom. Right?
Oh. Yeah, okay, so it needs to be in square brackets so that it actually
Exactly.
it takes the name that you give.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
save, we have name Tom, right? And we can call this function with age 2, for example, right? So we've added in a name, then we've added in an age. Save. We've built in that object dynamically. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we have here. Like you can use dot or you can use square brackets and the string inside. Sorry. Okay. So again, you can work with your objects, and if you have an array inside, you can use your push and length, etc. as usual. Right? So it's nothing. There is no difference. So that means that here, because we have favorite food, this is an array. You can do dot push, and that will work. So you'll have sardines, tuna, and salmon. Right? It's just a regular thing. It doesn't change. The whole point is it doesn't change the behavior.
Right.
So array is still array, and you can work with array as usual. Yep. And you still can do length, shift, unshift, whatever you want. Yep. Any questions on this one?
Do objects and arrays, do you use that like to, let's say, to store stuff
Yeah.
on people when like I'm logging in, I say I'm Thomas and I'm male and whatever, like this is what you would use?
Yeah, exactly. So when you, good example, that's when you're creating an account, you have like first name, last name, so you have like, for example, let's comment it out, this one, and you have like a const new user, and there you'll have like first name, right? And you have like last name, and you'll have age, 25, 26, and you have email, and then you will send this object to the server to store the data.
Right.
So that will be SN1 object. And actually here, how you can collect this data? You have a few inputs on your front end, on the like a form, right? You have a form on your website. So you have a few inputs, this like basically inputs. And the user providing this data, hit submit, so you have an array of data, right? Basically, you have, theoretically, you can go through every single input, take the input name, take the input value, and build the object new user. Right, so you will create this dynamically. You'll loop through your each input. So that will be, I'll just quickly create something. So you have like your inputs array. Let's say you have an array of inputs from your page. You have dot map or dot for each, and you have input, and here you have, so sorry, let me just call function to not confuse you, input, and you have like let new user is an object, and then you have your new user square brackets, let's say input dot name equals input dot value, right? So you run through all your inputs, take the input name, take the input value, and in the end you will get something like that. Yep.
So what's the for each function?
You just looping through the array, right? So
okay, all right.
yeah, it's like for basically. It can be
Okay.
for. Yeah.
Got it.
Vasil, when do you know to use object or array, and which one is more often used?
Again, you use both. Both are very popular because objects is kind of like you creating an object like a user, right? Or like a cat or like a document, and document has different properties. It's not just random data like size and name without any keys. It's just random data. You want to specify that I have a document object, and this document object has name, has size, so you can actually get the data, you can set the data. So you're always working with objects. An array is because you have multiple documents, you want to store them in an array, right? Or multiple users or multiple whatever. You store it into array because this is a similar type of data. So you're storing that in an array.
It's like a series of data.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so the one thing that I haven't mentioned, which is tricky, and maybe it might be hard to understand on the very beginning, but we have with objects, we have passed by reference. And what it means, so data is passed by reference, and this is true for objects and arrays. So let me show you an example. That might be crazy. So let's start with let number equals 5, then number equals 10, console log number. What number we will see?
The latest one, 10?
Yeah, 10.
10, correct. Okay, so let me create let number 2 equals 10, number, let me just 15, 13, I don't know, number 2. What we will see here?
13.
13. Okay. If we have number 2 equals 10, what we will see here with number?
13 still?
13 still.
Number?
Yeah, still 13. That's correct because you assigned it before. So this is that we call pass by value. So that works for strings, for booleans, and for numbers. So if you have a string and you redefine it and reference into another variable and change that variable, you still have the old value. That works. I mean, this is what you expect normally for strings, numbers, and booleans. But with objects is a bit different. So imagine that we have const user. Oh, sorry. Let user 1, and we have a name. We have Tom. So let's start from the beginning. So we will see Tom, right? We have Tom. Beautiful. So we have let user 2 equal to name Alex. And here I have user 1 equals to user 2. What we will see in the console.
Would it be like an error or no?
No.
So,
I mean, this is still data, so you assigning to each other.
It's gonna be Alex.
That's gonna be Alex, correct? Yeah, but what if I do user 2 equals, or so I want to modify my object, right? Change to, I don't know, a cell. What I will see in my user 1?
will it still say Alex then?
Magic, right? So that we call pass by reference. And
So it's kind of dynamic.
it's not dynamic. Basically, when you work with your arrays or with objects and assigning one object to another object, it works not as a value, it works as a kind of sign on a road that's saying to your user 1 where to go to take the data. It's not actually copying the value. It just giving your user 1, in our case, a sign where to go, like a direction where you can go and pick the value. So that means that you created your user, you said that where to find the value for your user 1, then you modify it, and when you call in it, it's already modified. So it basically, when you call in it, it will go here, okay, looking for user 2, find the user 2, but it's already modified. So it's not actually a data, it's just a direction where to find the data. And we call it pass by reference.
But so if you put user 2 name, like if you go a row below Vasil and you just put user 2 point name dot name equals Mathieu, for example.
So if I go to this,
yeah, and if you put Matt,
okay,
then it would still be Vasil. Wouldn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, because yes, so that rule works for, again, objects and arrays. Yeah, exactly, because you're looking for some data on this point of time, and on this point of time it's modified just to Vasil. But when you try to console log your user 1 after that, you have Matt, right? I know that this is confusing.
Yeah, it's rather confusing.
But so it's kind of, we always take the last one that has been assigned, or I mean.
It's
declared,
about,
right?
so the point is here that this assignment is not actually value to new variable. It's actually just a direction where to find the data. When you work with objects, you just telling where to find your data, not actually setting the value.
This is because you're using let, right? If you were
No,
using const,
that
if
doesn't
it was
matter.
const, it would be fixed, no?
No. So with const, this is another thing with objects. Even so, first of all, wait a sec. You can't reassign it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In React you can, but here you can't reassign it, so you can't actually use it. But yeah.
Okay.
Here, our example with numbers, you actually cloning the value, right? If you work with string and have like user1 and user2, and these two are just strings like Tom, and you have Alex, right? And then you have user2 Vasil, you'll have Alex, the first one, because this is a string.
But so if we go back to the object, how does he prioritize one versus the other? Because you say, oh, it's the rule, user one data will get to will look into the user two, but how does it prioritize between line 62 and line 65?
So
Because
it's not
user-
about
the first-
yeah, it's not about prioritization. It's about that when you're working with strings and you doing this, you cloning the string to the new value, to the new variable. You just cloning it. You have a separate instance of that. A separate, like you creating basically a new place in your memory, in the like actual memory hardware, where you can and you have your value like a clone, complete separate thing. But when you work with objects, you just referencing where to find on your hardware, on your like memory. It's not about cloning. It's just, hey, you can find on this address.
Right.
It's like you have an address in your real life. It's not actually your home. It's just an address where your home is.
In this case, the address of user one, is it Tom, or the name of user one, is it Tom, or is it user two?
User 2. The address is user 2.
Okay.
And you're going to find what is user 2. Every time you call user 1, you're going to find what is user 2 now.
Okay, so it's still, so are we saying that the priority is, I know we shouldn't be talking about the priority, but what counts is the latest definition, or not definition, but
Of user 2.
area where user one is. So if we had another line in line 66 that would say user one equals I don't know, another user, it would be that another user that is where you're looking at, right? Yeah, then it would be user 3.
Yeah. So basically you're changing the pointer to your data.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, got it.
Right? So,
Okay. Thanks, Ricardo. I agree. I'm not trying to understand. It's just, yeah. Got it.
no. So this is actually the point where you need to understand the difference, because again, when just learn how to behave with array. Yeah. So with arrays and objects, you have this one is just a pointer to where to find the data. When you work with strings and numbers or booleans, you actually cloning data, you copying the data. and you have 0 reference to the original object, to the original value, sorry.
Got it.
Okay, but that come into our comparisons. By the way, yeah, if you have, this is a good actually thing, you need to pay attention, console log. So we have type of 1, 2, 3. So not like that, okay. Name, Tom. Save is object, right? So type of is object. I mean, it's like obvious, right? This is what you expect. Just this is object. But if you have type of 1, 2, 3, sorry, 1, 2, 4, it's also an object. And this is because array is just a different type of object. And that is why they behave in the same way. That is why you have this referencing thing. Because this is an array, and object is an object. We just call them differently. And they have slightly different kind of structure, but behavior is the same. This is what Ricardo actually mentioned about that in PHP we have associative array, which is array where you can give a name for each element, not index, but a name. And object in JavaScript is kind of the same. It's a kind of array with names, right? With specific names. And both of them are objects. Yeah. Another thing, this is another step. So imagine that you have, let me just copy this, comment it out, move further. Tom. And let me create, let user 3 equals just Alex. User 4 Alex. So if I console log user 3 equals user 4, what we will see?
Yeah, true.
We will see true. And you might say, hey, silly questions. It's obvious, right? Ooh, sorry. But what if you compare this one? What we will see?
I sense that the response is going to be false.
Yeah, the response will be false. And this is because objects never equal. They are never equal. Same with arrays. Because they have different address in the memory. So each object has like a address in a memory, in actual memory, in actual physical hard drive. And you just don't, if you try to compare it, it's just different.
So it's like what Ricardo was saying, it's two containers that have just happen to have the same name inside.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see it even not strict equality, still false. So they are just different. So you can't compare to objects. Sometimes it's tempting. You're like, how can I compare to objects? Because I have a user and I want to compare, is it the same user? So you can't do that. You need to compare by username, or like if you do dot name and dot name, because these are strings. That is why you will get your true, right? Because you're comparing strings.
Yeah.
But not objects. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing, the last thing I think that I want to mention is, oh right, sorry, I completely forgot. So how we can add more properties to the object. This is my bad. So imagine that we have a Tom object, right? So we know that we can add something like user1 dot age equals 30, right? So Tom is aging very fast with us. So we just added, right? But we also can merge two objects into one. So what that means, that if you have an object, let's say you have your user1 and you want to add a few new properties, let's say you want to add age 30, 20, city, London, right? And you want still to keep your name, you want to keep everything you have here, plus you want to add this. So you can do that by creating, so you're creating an object, then you're spreading your old user1, and then you're spreading the new object. So let me show you. If I do without spread operator, save it. Right. So first of all, you can't do this because you don't have a key for this one. So it's expecting that you will have keys, right? Because object, so first one is working, but now you have inside your user, you're creating actually username key. This is ES6. If you have the same username, key and value, it will create the key and assign the value. It will create the same key. So like, because we have username, it will create a username, user1. It will create a user1 for you. If you have user3 and name it user3, it will take user3 and assign to a new key user3, right? But we actually want to have the same object, this is wrong, because we have an object where we have user3 and we have an object inside. That is why we use spread operator. So you destructuring. Now we got what we had, right? We had the flat object with name, and we have it now after we spreading. Now, if we do this the same with this one, again, we destructuring or spreading. We use spread operator to destructure this object, and we will get one flat object with 3 properties. So this is how you can combine two objects. To simplify it, we can call it cons, I don't know, data equals, and let me assign this one. Maybe that will be cleaner.
So it's as if we were concatenating these two.
Yeah, basically, yes, exactly. So if I put data, right, so I have data and user3. Let me just user1, because we have user1. So we're modifying the same user. So now we have user, the whole object has 2 keys, user1 with name and data with this, which is completely wrong. This is completely different from what we want, right?
Yeah.
That is why you use spread operator. So we fixed already the first part. We have name on the same level as data, but still this one is broken. And do that, you destructure your data, and now you have the flat object.
Got it.
So this is how you can combine two objects, or three objects, it doesn't matter, but X amount of objects into one. Yep. I think this is it for arrays and objects. It's definitely we have some food for thoughts, because I've deployed already exercises for this week. So you can
quite a lot. I saw it like goes to 25 or something.
yeah, potentially. Let me check that. But yeah, sounds about 25. The last one is 25.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And are you gonna give us more exercise on Wednesday?
No. So this is for the whole week. So I'm publishing all exercises on Monday, so you have everything for the whole week, so you can start to work on all of that. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is it about these two things. Any questions?
No, none for me. No.
No.
It was very comprehensive.
Okay. Then beautiful. We have a short. This is like a typically short lesson, because we have two subjects, and if you add more information, that will be just more confusing rather than helpful. That is why we keep it short, because it is tricky, and you need to have time to play.
So the exercises are focused on arrays and objects then?
Yeah, so we have basically, yes, but we have arrays, objects, and then you have more exercises that are already deployed, but this is for Wednesday's lesson, where you have loops, while loops, for, etc.
Got it.
But yeah.
Okay, do we have exercises from today or not?
Yeah, I already deployed it. You need to pull it.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you then.
No worries.
And if we have any question for the CSS HTML, can we still have a call with you?
Yeah, right. So, good question. So, the deadlines is just for like your eligibility for a refund for this particular module. If you have any questions about any exercise projects on any point, we are happy to help you. So there is no limit that you can ask about HTML by this week, or you can ask about arrays by the next week, and this is it. No, so we are always happy to help with any part of the course. It does, even if you have working on something and do some extra work, or taking some, because a lot of students doing that in every single bootcamp. They just watching some online tutorials or another courses in parallel, and you have some questions, we also happy to help. So if you don't understand something.
So to get the refund, we need to publish the GitHub before Monday evening course?
Yeah, so basically for each module, we have the system that by the end of each week, you need to push all your exercises for that week. And by the end of the module, you need to push your project as well. And this is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if the project is not complete, like you push it and it's not complete, you say, either you say nothing, it's good. If there are some typo, by the way, if you push before Monday evening and you have some typos or it's not finished, so you need to correct, we
are not that strict, I would say. So if I see that, for example, if you publish your HTML website, and I see that everything is almost correct, let's say, but you met the requirement with, like, you keep the structure, you have everything. It shouldn't be the best code ever. We don't expect that. But or you miss some tiny bit with some some line, or anything, some tiny bit which doesn't affect things actually, then we will not fail you because of that. Or if you have everything, the whole logic is right for exercises, and you actually, as you're saying, you have a typo, I will come back to you and say, hey, everything is almost right, you have a typo in this exercise, or you have a tiny issue in this exercise, try to fix it. If you fix it, then we are happy with that. So it's not about, we are not very strict with such things.
And the CSS project, I think I already asked you on Slack, but we will have like a session maybe next Monday on it, or is it now done, like, and it's kind of behind us?
So basically it is done, but I will give you a bet that we will have, I will review your projects and I will have comments. I'm more than sure.
Okay.
Because and we will discuss on some following lessons. Maybe on Monday we will talk about that. Like in general, what kind of issues I saw and suggestions how to improve such things. So I'm not going personal, like, hey, you Thomas, you did that wrong. I'm just
just in context of the whole class, HTML and CSS, we will constantly be using that as we build websites, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is the only way to build websites.
Yeah, just wondering if we are, exactly that we're still going to be using it and kind of.
Yeah. So all projects will be, you will work with JavaScript and HTML, CSS. You will work with React, and this is, you're still writing like HTML structure and HTML tags, etc. But the whole, basically for everything, you have besides the backend, you have HTML and CSS.
Got it.
To see your page. Yeah. Okay. Cool. If you don't have any other questions, then on Wednesday, you will have Thomas, which is our other instructor, and he's like lead developer. He has like 10 years of experience. He's super smart, and yeah, he will run the lessons with Loop. He's really good like mentor in general, because I used to work with him in my current work. He was a contractor, and he's really great as a dev. And because of, like, I think I might be wrong with 10 years, maybe more, but he again he has huge experience as a dev. So he will be with you this Wednesday.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Thank